Hey everyone. So I wanted to do a video today. I had got a question on one of my other videos that kind of led me on the pathway to this video. The question was, what was my statement for grad school? My statement of purpose. So, I had this whole thing planned where I was just going to be like, oh, I'm going to read what my statement was and what I kind of wrote and kind of go over my reasonings. But what I realized is that my statement of purpose has actually changed in a year. My statement of purpose basically talked about, oh, I wanted to, make a difference in my community. And by community, I just kind of meant like exactly where I was living. That would be my community, not necessarily the African American community. Originally I had wrote about wanting to help children that have autism and ADHD and whatnot. But in the light of pretty much the race war that is going on, my statement of purpose has changed. And that will happen when you are writing your statement of purpose. Don't put too much thought into it because chances are, if you're going to a really good school and you're really making sure that you are trying to evolve and kind of get out of your comfort zone, chances are that statement that you create in your initial interviewing process and getting into your graduate program most likely is going to change. So that leads me to today's topic. My topic is cooning for $1 on the corporate plantation. If I had to write my statement of purpose today, it would encompass making sure that I was an advocate for the African American community and making sure that we, uplift one another and making sure that we come together as a collective to really make sure that we are working as a united front and strengthening our community and making sure that a part of that strengthening of our community is making sure that our mental health is intact, because unfortunately, there's a lot of things that we carry on a day-to-day basis that we really just kind of keep to ourselves and we don't talk about. So this video is kind of going to be on how to get off of the corporate plantation and making sure that you're really striving to become your own independent individual in society and not relying so much on working on the corporate white Western plantation. So I kind of wrote down some things because I really want to make sure that I'm touching everything that I feel is very vital in order to help other people that are listening to this video that perhaps are trying to figure out what their statement of purpose is, or even maybe what their purpose is while they're going to work on Monday or throughout the week. So here's a couple things. We're told to make it to the top, but we are conditioned to think making it to the top involves working for corporate America. How many times, and I'm sure for anybody that either is in high school, has their undergrad, or is getting their master's, or maybe you've made it all the way to the top of getting your doctorate, your MD, your PsyD, or any other doctoral program that you are currently in or trying to gain access into. What do you think of when you grow up? You think, oh, I'm going to make it to the top. This is the company I want to work for. This is who is the top of their game. What did they do? You really don't get in the African American community that entrepreneurial skill set. You don't think, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to make it big because I'm going to sell my own stuff. That's just not the norm. It's not to say that it does not occur, but if you're perfectly honest with yourself, that is not the norm. It's just not. It's just not something in our community that we're taught. We're taught, go to school, get your education, and get a job. Get a job. Do you hear that? Get a job. Not make a job for yourself. Get a job. There is a difference, and we're not told there's a difference. We're told get a job, apply for one. But we're not told to create one. That's the issue. We're never told to create our own jobs. We are told to apply to other people's companies and work for them, essentially, and help them make money. We think we're making money because we're able to pay our bills and maybe have a few extra dollars to do a few other activities. but we're not creating wealth. We're not creating generational wealth. You might think because you have a couple $100 or $1,000 in your bank account that you're rich, but you're not rich. You're richly poor. That's the bottom line. You're not as rich as you think unless you can pass down wealth generationally. And unfortunately, African Americans, we are not generationally rich. So when you think of a person that is in corporate America that is a minority, an African American to be specific, what are some things that go through your mind? I know for me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they made it to the top. They must have worked for this company for a very long time, because unfortunately, we typically don't get hired into these higher ranking positions in companies. It's a long, drawn out process where we've had to put up with a lot of crap to get there, and it's just not the norm. You might have your, middle management person that is a minority, but chances are your CEOs, your direct VPs, and your directors of management are not going to be a minority of any sort, not just African Americans, any minority. It is a rarity. We are not represented in the top because these are not our companies. Why would a person that is not a minority have a minority represent their company? If you really think about it, that's not going to happen. No matter how much you shuck and jive for that paycheck, you will not be the number one person sitting at the very top, raining down on everybody else that doesn't look like you. I mean, I don't want to burst your bubble and say, as long as you keep quiet and stay on the straight and narrow, you're going to make it to the top. There have been too many cases for you to sit there and play stupid and really think that that is how you make it to the top in corporate America. That is not the reality for your brown skin behind. It is not. So, moving forward, when you think of somebody that has made it to the top or even middle management, visually, when you think of a female, you're not going to think of a female that has natural hair. It's just what it is. You're not going to think of a man that has dreadlocks. It's just what it is. I mean, to be perfectly honest, 2016, which was just last year, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals actually said that it is not illegal to discriminate against somebody that has dreadlocks. Think about that. Culturally, African Americans have dreadlocks. I'm not talking about the white people that wanted to lock their hair. Their hair does not naturally lock. I don't care that you didn't, wash your hair or something and it became kinky and greasy and you called it a lock. I'm talking about from ancient Egypt in Africa. Africans are black. If you look at ancient Egypt, that is where the locking method came from. Also, it is out there that the locking method came from India. So essentially, no matter how it came about, it did not come from European descent people. So you have to look at this 11th Circuit Court of Appeals that said it is okay to discriminate against you. But yet we are applying to these same companies that are going to the court system to say it's okay to discriminate against you. You may not have locks, but what's the next thing? You can't have braids. You can't have kinky hair. It always has to be straightened. I mean, what other Western white society cultural influence will we put on our black skin? What is the next thing? That is the start. Where will it end? It won't. That's just it. It will not end. So what you need to do is you need to empower yourself to get off of that corporate plantation. Are you sitting at your job listening to this video? Did you just come home from work listening to this video and you're trying to figure out what's the next move? What should I do? I just can't quit my job because I don't make enough money to quit my job. See, you see how it's a cycle? They put you in a position that you can't even save up to quit your job to create your own job, to create your own company. Don't even dare think about trying to go to a bank to try and get the funds to create your own. I have done it. I actually have an undergrad degree in business and marketing economics, and I had a probably 30-page document stacked high with every bit of data, how much it would cost, the gross that I would have in the next 5 years, the net, the taxes, what would I need in order to succeed? And I was still denied. I was still denied by a white female that actually ended up being a part of discrimination that was brought against a lawsuit against the National City Bank. Yeah, the bank that doesn't even exist. So that just lets you know that when Black people talk about there's discrimination in creating our own businesses, it is not some mythological thought process that we have these ideologies that we just all create as a collective. That is not true. It's just simply not. We are rising as a population, and we need to make sure that as we rise, we financially rise as well. Because just because we can lay down and create more children, are we creating the next generation of corporate plantation slaves? That's what we need to think about. Do you want to retire? If your answer is yes, this video is not for you. Because a person that says that they want to retire means that you are okay with working for somebody else and collecting retirement. If you own a company, you should say, I'm not retiring, I'm passing down. That's the difference. If you make your own money and you have a family, there is no such thing as retirement because that is your company. You don't retire from what is on your name. You don't retire from yourself, do you? No, you do not. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. The mindset, we have been conditioned. You don't realize it. We have been conditioned to sit here and think that we need to work for somebody that doesn't care about us. It's out of control. I have written so many things and so many points that I really want to get to in this video. When we hear about the one percenters, I mean, if you follow any type of news, any type of political standings, we hear about the 1%. The 1% this, the 1%'s getting a tax break. The 1% is, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The 1%. But are you the 1%? I doubt it. And you know why I doubt it? Because African Americans only make up 1.4% of 1%. Let that sink in. That is almost 16,000 households. 16,000 households. I'm pretty sure there's probably more than 16,000 households in the city that you live in. I'm pretty sure unless you live in some small, meek little town in the middle of nowhere, there's probably more than 16,000 households. Let me just give you a list of some of the top 1.4% of the 1% that identify as African American, because that's just its whole little other video in and of itself. So we have Oprah. We all know Oprah. We all know that she started and she was fired from her job because, you know, she was too dark. And she got fired because, you know, racial discrimination at your job. I'm sure if you're listening to this video, it happens. It is not a story. It's not something that we just say to say, you know, I'm just being mistreated and I think it's because I'm Black. No, there's pretty much some concrete things that occur to let you know your Black ass got treated a certain way because you have a Black ass. But we about to get to that. So let me continue on the list of our 1.4% of our 1% top people in America that are wealthy. And by wealthy, I'm not talking about your everyday rapper or, you know, your IG model or your, you know, I hit the lotto today and tomorrow I spend it all type people. I'm talking about wealth that they will not be able to spend all the money that they currently have in their lifetime, which means they have generational wealth. That is what generational wealth encompasses. Being able to not only have enough money to live a certain lifestyle and to actually have accesses to things that other people do not have access to, and still have enough money to pass that down to the next generation. And if the next generation follows suit in the same way in which you have hopefully raised them, they will then pass it down to the next generation and the next generation. And hopefully while we're all ash and, dead in the ground, that we can be like, wow, we have made it as a people. We are the top 1%, not 1% of the 1%ers. So we have Michael Jordan. I know y'all stand in those lines for those Jordans, making all that money for Michael Jordan and Nike, right? Just love you some Jordans. Just stand in the line for some Jordans, I mean, that 200, 300, I don't even know. Can't be used for nothing else but spending on some Jordans, right? I mean, can you wear your Jordans to work? I don't think. Can you wear your Jordans to work? Let me know. Put that in the comments section. Can you wear your Jordans to work? I mean, like corporate America. I ain't talking about anything other than corporate America. Let me know, because I just want to know where those Jordans get worn Monday through Friday that equivalent to sitting at a corporate job for hours before you can financially afford those Jordans. Don't make me break down the economics of how long you have to sit at that job, stand at that job in order for you to pay for those Jordans. Because the average American is not making $100 an hour. So you are probably sitting at work almost 2 days, maybe longer for some of you, no shade, to spend on Jordans that you're not even wearing Monday through Friday. Moving forward. So we have Robert F. Smith, Robert L. Johnson, Sean Combs, Mariah Carey, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Sheila Johnson from Team Summit, you may be familiar, Tyler Perry, and unfortunately the downfall of our once great Tiger Woods. Yeah. So that was on the list of the Forbes top 1%ers in the African American category. Not too exciting, not a huge list. If I did white America, which makes up the 96% of the 1%ers, I'd probably be sitting here for another 15 to 20 minutes just reading names. All those names and all those brands. Won't do that. That's not what this video is about. This video is about empowering us to uncondition ourselves from what we have been taught. And it's really not our parents and our grandparents' fault, because we, unlike them, have an opportunity to change the cycle that we're in. Financially, this is the most financially stable generation of African Americans that have actually existed outside of the 1920s Black Wall Street. So you have to think to yourself, they may have burned our Wall Street, but we can recreate it. We are the generation to recreate it. Moving forward. What do we put up with on corporate plantations to shuck and jive for our dollars? What do we put up with? I really want, in this comment section, I am so curious to hear what people have to say about what they put up with. And this is not the comment section for you trolls. You can check my other videos. The comments are very limited because I stay on the block button. So if you think this is a video where you can come on with your racist rhetoric and if black people and their black on black crime when you're 80% white crime, if you think that's this type of video, block buttons stay hot here. And anybody engaging with them, you can get blocked too because this is not the channel to engage. They are a distraction. You need to be focused. We put up with racism, constant racism, microaggressions. If you're unfamiliar with the microaggression, you've probably had it experienced. You probably have experienced it, but you just don't even realize that's what it's called. Microaggressions. Oh, hi. So, is that your real hair? Meanwhile, they don't ask each other that, and we know that they wear weave. But, you know, if you have long, straight hair, like when I straighten my hair, because, you know, that's just, they're just asking a question. It's so innocent. If it's just so innocent, why aren't they asking each other that on a daily basis? I'm just so confused. Microaggression. Oh, you know, you do something and instead of saying, oh, thank you, they want to reply, good girl, good girl. Oh, because, you know, we don't reserve that for animals in our households like dogs or cats or, you know, household pets. No, that's reserved for you, for your black skin. That's reserved for you, good girl. We have to dummy down our knowledge. How many of you are sitting at work because you've been conditioned to get your business degree? Trust me, I'm from the generation where we all went and got our business administration and marketing and management and economics and statistics and all the rest of the business-oriented undergrad degrees that aren't paying us anything but interest in student loans. Yeah. What is that doing for you sitting next to the same person that's being racist towards you that you have a student loan that you can't even pay because guess what? You're not making enough money to even pay your bills all the way and to put up with racism. Very interesting, isn't it? You could have a degree. Yeah, you could have a degree and make $30,000, which is that covering your student loans? Please, somebody comment. If it is, please let me know how you're doing it because, you know, I'm trying to get that information on the side. But real talk. And you have a colleague and you're in the same title position and they're making more. They started after you. They don't have a degree. They don't even have experience. So my first question is, how'd you even get an interview? Like, what's your resume look like? Because you don't even have experience. I came in completely credentialed. And when I say I'm saying as a collective, I know this is pretty much the norm. And anybody that wants to negate it, please do so with all of your facts that say that this occurred to you or you see this. Because my mother worked for a company in their international office, human resources department, and has seen it firsthand. Yeah, black woman in human resources. It happens on a rarity. And then you get fired because you filed EEOC charges and they don't like that. Yeah, that's their problem. Moving forward. You're being told that your hair is not appropriate. Now, I work currently for corporate America, but I also have two businesses, flourishingtrust.Com, Bayamonte /Etsy.com. Get your hair care, skincare needs. Yes, black owned. I'll put the links at the bottom. But you're being told that your hair is inappropriate. Do you think they get told that their hair is inappropriate if it's greasy and they don't wash it or it has a smell? Do you think they get told that? Do you think they get told that they need to make their hair kinky and curly? Like we're told that we need to make our hair straight? Think about that. No, I don't think so. They don't. And I'm not going to listen to anybody's BS rhetoric that says that they do, because you'd have to show me with video and imagery on that one. We also sit in meetings that when you go through HR, when you're first hired, and everybody wants to talk about you were only hired to get tax credit. Well, newsflash, the whole tax credit thing really benefits white females. When you look at the statistics of it, they're the highest ranking people to benefit from tax credits. Not us. We don't benefit from that, because they benefit on the back end and the front end. They get benefited from not only being hired and at a higher rate, but then that money goes back into their white communities from the tax credit they receive from the businesses that they own. So we're not talking about some little tax credit that's harmless. When you're filling out that WOTC form, the Workers' Opportunity Compensation Form, I believe that's what it's called. Hold on, let me get the right wording for you. Work Opportunity Tax Credit Form. When you're filling that out, just remember that you weren't hired only because of that, but trust me, that is a part of it. That's a part of it. You think that you're being hired because you're just cream of the crop and creme de la creme? I mean, I don't want to bust anybody's bubble on this video, but that's really not always the case. Look around your office. How diverse is it? Just look around. And when I say diverse, I'm not just talking about the people on your same level. I'm talking about in the higher ups, your direct management, their management, the CEOs, the VPs. Is there diversity within those corporations? Waiting for the comments in the comments section, because I really want to know. And if there is, please, please, please put the name of these white-owned corporations that have directors and VPs that are Black. Yeah, I would love to know that. But what I would love to know is, why are we as African Americans spending trillions of money every year? Our spending power is extremely high. I believe it's like $1.8 trillion is the Black spending power, but yet we can't even manage to support our own businesses. I mean, as a small business owner myself, the lack of support from the Black community is outrageous. I have to constantly check people. I have to check them because it is a conditioning that has happened that says that anytime it is a Black-owned company, that it's supposed to be reduced down in rates, ask for a discount, ask for something free. I mean, I have stuff on my website that literally start at $2.99 for shea butter, and I still get people asking me if they can get it for free. Are you kidding? No, you cannot get it for free. How are we going to build generational wealth when we think that we're on an Indian trading system? No. You need to buy what people are selling the same way you walk into these stores. I don't hear anybody calling Dove and all the rest of these Johnson & Johnson companies and asking them on the phone, hey, can I have a discount? Yeah, they offer coupons, but I also offer coupons and discounts, and people still ask for stuff for free. It is completely outrageous. So when you're sitting in these corporate plantations and you are being subjected to racism, microaggressions that come in many forms. I literally had a supervisor tell me, she's not even educated. I wrote a legal document to send to an appeal for an insurance carrier, and she tried to take all of my legal jargon out of it, dummy it down, and said, now you can send it. Excuse me? So Her response is, I just didn't understand what you wrote. Okay, that's not my fault you didn't understand what I wrote. Maybe you should get on my educational level and understand what I wrote, but she's my supervisor and she can't even understand basic legal jargon in order for us to do our jobs, but yet she's over top of my department. The craziness that occurs. I'm sure plenty of people have stories like this. It's not just me. It's not just my family member. There are people, and guess what happens? I couldn't react to her. I couldn't snatch her up in her face and say, how dare you question me because I wrote something and you didn't understand it, so now you have to dummy it down. I can't do that. I had to suppress it down. I have to reduce and walk away and try and ignore, but yet they can say whatever. As soon as they say something to you, like I had another person that literally I was talking about soul food, and she wants to talk about, oh, so when you have soul food, like, does everybody eat fried chicken and talk ghetto with big hats? This is at my job. I cannot make this stuff up. I really, really wish I was making this stuff up. Trust me, I wish I was making this stuff up. Then I had somebody else at one of my mom's jobs. This lady had braids. She had cornrows, nice, neat, kept together. I shouldn't even have to qualify that. I really shouldn't. And on her review, now, mind you, this is not a job that is dealing with being a hairstylist. This is working for a hospital in their office as a professor because it's on a college campus. On her review, her white supervisor put, her braids were unprofessional. Meanwhile, this white woman was basically balding, and haircut like a male, but, her braids were unprofessional. Yeah, and you know what she did? She cooned for the dollar. She went and relaxed her hair. And then it all started breaking up. All of those beautiful curls, all of that time, that hard work, all that shea butter, that coconut oil, that castor oil, all that good stuff. Yeah, all of it wasted, gone. Now, if you have relaxed hair, great. I've seen beautiful relaxed hair that's straightened, but how many times have you been asked if it's fake? Because apparently Black women can't grow long hair unless we sewing it in. And there is nothing wrong with having weave either, because a lot of people that have weave actually have long, beautiful hair underneath of it because it can be worn as a protective style. But once again, these things are happening to us in these corporate plantation settings. And what happens is we become the people that bottle it up. I don't know how many times, myself, my mother, family members, friends, the day that you have to suck up this racism, these microaggressions, these bullying tactics, these trying to dismiss you as a person, as somebody that is on a higher level than them, and yet you're being told you are less than all the time, not only by voice, but by action. And so this creates a pattern of depression, anxiety, anger, post-traumatic stress disorder. There are people that can't sleep. I had to quit my last job because I was waking up in the middle of the night with chest pains. And I am not old. I was having actual chest pains to the point where I thought I was going to have to go to the emergency room because I was so stressed out from bottling up the things that were occurring at this job. Completely stressed out. There's been times where I've come home in tears because and even as a young girl, you think about it, this isn't just starting when you get to your working age. This is a condition This is conditioning from the time you entered into your school system. If you're not in a school system that you are represented to the majority, as the majority, chances are the same things and rhetoric and ideologies and mythologies that has been built into other people's brains are going to happen while you're at work. Changing ages and changing places is not going to change what is happening to you. It's just not. The only way to change it is to make sure that you are mentally healthy and stable to progress and move to the next section of your life. And that is what, if I had to rewrite what my purpose statement is for my graduate program is I want to empower and advocate the African American communities to break the cycle of conditioning. And breaking the cycle of conditioning is a mental condition that we have been taught and told. We are conditioned to say we must find a job and work for other people. We are not conditioned to go out and create jobs. You might have been taught to hustle, but you are not being taught to create generational wealth. That is the difference. So when you think about the anxiety, the depression, the post-traumatic stress disorder, the high blood pressure, whoa, let me tell you about that high blood pressure, because even if you are eating healthy, that stress, let me tell you, that's going to go into your blood pressure, and then you're going to be having all kinds of symptoms. And what's that going to do? That's going to take you out of your job, and that's going to take you away from that money. And right now, you're in the cycle of being a slave. How much PTO do you have so you can go to the doctors? You just let me know, because you have to get permission when you work for them to go. And if you watch my last video about me having a family emergency and, my corporate plantation owner, slave owner, essentially trying to tell me that I'm getting 0.5 occurrence, okay, you can take that 0.5 occurrence. I don't care, because this is not where I'm staying. I'm getting my licensure to be a mental health counselor, on my way to Psych D, to be a neuropsychologist, to basically uncondition and reprogram our African Americans to believe that you can be successful on your own. You do not need them to lift you. This is not a video to say you must put them down to lift yourself up. You can lift yourself up without even mentioning them. That's just that. We really need to understand that this is taking a mental toll on us. We need to be making sure that when we are having these occurrences, these aggressions that are happening to us, these racial influxes that are constantly happening on a daily basis, that we are seeking out the help that we need. We need to empower ourselves and our community to say, it is okay to go seek help. It's okay to talk about your depression. It's okay to have depression. It's okay to have anger. We are told, don't be the angry Black woman. Oh, that guy, he's angry. He must be up to no good. He's a bad guy. We are told all these negative things about ourselves in our culture, and that seeps into our mind, which actually creates physical ailments. So we really need to think about, what is this conditioning doing to our mental health? We are suffering from anxiety. You don't think that you're suffering from anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder when somebody or something occurs to you? What about the people, and I'm sure watching this video, you've been fired because of some type of racist thing that occurred to you. You thought you were going to human resources to complain about it, and then retaliation occurred, and then you were fired. And then what happened? Did you even have enough money saved up to even try and search for another job really quick to get your money up and make sure that your bills were paid? Or did it turn into a downward spiral because you talked? See, that's what I'm talking about when it says cooning for the dollar. You may not have started out saying, I'm going to coon for the dollar, but your actions turned into cooning for the dollar, because what happens is you start being conditioned by them. You learn to be quieter. You learn to not complain. You learn to say yes instead of no. You learn that you won't take time for yourself. You really should take a mental health day. I'm telling you. Take a mental health day. You need it. You need it. You earned it. You deserve it. You need to care for your mental and physical health. They are one and the same. They each work in combination with one another. They really do. You really need to understand that when we are talking about creating generational health, we got to start here. We got to start with the mental empowerment, because right now we are strong on many areas, but on many areas we need more strength. And in order to have more strength, we must come together as a collective and create that strength together, not separate. When I talk about creating generational wealth, I'm talking about we, not me, not mine, not I, we. Because in order for us to make it, we must come together. So I really hope that in the comment section, that if you own a business, please put down the website, what city, state, if it's brick and mortar building, where you're located. I'm going to be headed to DC. If anybody knows of some amazing Black-owned businesses and clothing stores or anything that I can go to, I've already started making a list, but I would love to add to that list. I really want to make sure that I am putting my money, because I don't want to just speak it. I want to live it and do it. Put my money into the Black community. So if you own a business, please put it in the comments section. Please make sure you're putting the description of what the business is. Put your contact information. Put whatever marketing information you want to put down there. I want this to really empower you and make you want to go out and do something for yourself to create that generational wealth. I want you to go and find a counselor, because I want you to really seek and get your mind together, because before you start building that generational wealth, you need to be mentally healthy and stable in order to do it. We need to make sure that we are no longer cooning for the dollar on the corporate plantation. So if you are with me, like and subscribe. Make sure that you are shopping at all, hopefully the Black-owned businesses that I see listed below. Please make sure to click on flourishingtrust.com and Etsy.com and buy. We have spending power. We are more powerful than we are giving credit for. So that's all I have for now. I just really felt like this was something that I need to speak on. And also, one day, if you get the chance and you are on corporate plantation and you have saved some money, please, the most liberating thing is quitting your job. I quit my one job, and yes, currently I work for another company while I'm getting my other businesses together and my licensure to become a mental health counselor. But if you have the money right now saved up, even for a couple months, and you know that you have the credentials to either create your own business or you are in the midst of finding another job, I want to say empower yourself to walk away from the plantation. If it is stressing you out, that little bit of money is not going to help you. I really want people to liberate themselves. I want you to liberate yourself. And a part of that liberation is speaking up. When these aggressions are happening to you, the best thing you can do for your mental health is address it in the moment. And address it yourself. Don't think you're going to them to help you address it with another worker. Address it yourself in a professional manner. You do not need to get belligerent, because unfortunately, statistically, that's what they think, that's the stereotype of a caricature of a Black person. You don't need to do that. You really need to make sure that you're addressing it, because not only will that reduce your stress and your anxiety and your depression, but it will empower you to say, you know what? I checked that person and I bet you they won't do that stuff again. Yeah. So empower yourself to make sure that you are becoming what you want the next generation to become. If you want the next generation to be successful, why don't we start now? Why are we waiting to say, oh, when I have kids or when they grow up, I'm going to make sure that, they're set up. How are you going to set them up if you're continuing to push the rhetoric and the agenda of putting them on that plantation and not working for themselves? I want to support Black business. If you own a Black business, please Put your information down. Put it down. I know there are plenty of websites that are buy black, and I think there's a whole guide that actually has black businesses listed. Make sure that your businesses are listed below, and that you try and reach out to your communities that you are near and far to make sure that you're getting your information out there, because a lot of times we just don't know that there could be a black business owner that lives like right down the street from me, and I don't know, because unfortunately the marketing is not there, because the funds aren't there to really show how many black businesses out there. There are so many black people that have LLCs registered under their name, and yet when you try and find where they're at, it's hard. It's really hard. You don't know where to go. You don't know where to start. There's some that you can find, but others are harder, and some of them sell out to these white companies. So I really, really, really want to make sure that we are empowering ourselves to move forward and upward and creating that generational wealth by not succumbing ourselves to what we've been conditioned to think, that we are only as good as the application we fill out, the interview that we go on, and the petty paycheck that we receive. Thanks, guys.